Good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom and it's halfway through the week and I've had a fantastic week. I hope you have as well. And I'd love for you to share with us how your week's going and whether you're watching, hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. We're here with the beautiful Olga. Olga and I have never actually met, but we work together because Olga is the amazing woman that helped me with all the branding that we've just recently done. How long ago? It's been a few months.
It's only been a couple months since you launched. Yeah, so it's recent.
Yeah. So it's been such an amazing, it was such a pleasure working with you, but it's been such an amazing process for me because we were sort of all over the place before, and now to have that structure and elevation in what we're doing has been amazing. So
that's what I find. I find that like rebranding the right way is actually gonna give you that feeling of, oh wow, I didn't know my business can do this. Like you kind of empower yourself to be a business you meant to be in the first place.
It sort of consolidates the edges, right? Like because there's little tendrils everywhere, and we were sort of putting things in all different sort of fonts and all different structures and stuff, and to bring it all together into a foundation so that we've got a platform to work from has been the energy of it feels amazing because it sort of consolidated our team as well, so it's been a beautiful process.
I'm sure it has been very transformational. I know you talked about like the feelings you get when you see something and this is right and this is this is not me, or this is getting close to it, and that's what the brand is. It's really like the feeling behind it and the face that which is you. But at the same time, branding is very difficult because it's what you want as a business owner, but it's mostly about what your client wants too. So it's like you design it for yourself, but you have to kind of remove yourself as well and say, but what does my ideal client want to see when they look at my brand, when they look at my website? How do I want them to feel? Can I build that instant trust? And that's where the branding comes in.
Yeah, and to find that match was because my brand is the spiritual warrior, right? And of course we're on Women of Light, so you assume that there's going to be bright whites, yellows, like all of those bright colors, and yet I'm a very grounded person, and I also believe that to be a woman of light, you have to be grounded. You have to be aware of who you are here on the planet. And so, for you to work with me in that, wanting those darker colors and those elements that came in with a beautiful shell, the Fibonacci sort of spiral, and the creation of that sequence was really beautiful. It was lovely to work with you in that way. So tell me how you got into all of that, into branding, and it's obviously just been a passion.
Yes, it's definitely a passion, and I have gone to college for graphic design and web design, and just I don't know, something inside of me always pushes me to learn more, to study, to attend webinars, to take trainings. Like I'm never in the same place I find myself yesterday. It's always like, oh, good thing I'm a better person than I was yesterday. And I always learn, and I always apply the skills right away, because it's one thing to learn something and have a diploma up on your wall and say, yay, I have this. But it's another one is to apply and to find clients that you can align with, and you can deliver solutions that they can see that big transformation. Because really there is a difference between saying to someone, can you just design a flyer for me, versus can you design a flyer that reflects my brands, that reflects my understandings, and also speaks to my audience? And branding, what I like about branding, it's very strategic. And I think I like that. I marry my strategic part of the brain to the creative. And I really enjoyed working on your project in particular, because you were merging spiritual and animal nature, right? So it's like this yin yang of the world. And it's always fun to see how they can come together. And it's always fun to see how they can play out.
Yeah. And did such a perfect job, I really all of the round spirals, I loved that process of, you took us through to what, like what shapes do you like, what colors do you like, what textures do you like, all of those processes that we went through. And I just want to mention, Olga, you're not in Australia, right? So
I am not.
Yeah,
I'm in the United States.
Yeah. So where are you located again?
Yes. So I live in Detroit, which is in Michigan. And right now, yes, we're going to have a snowstorm tomorrow. I know in Australia, you don't deal with that much.
Yeah, that's right. We were just talking about that. It's more, cyclones, floods, and fires. So. But it still was quite easy for us to work together, because of the way you've set up the process. So,
and based on my experience, I've been doing it for 15 years, and I always add a skill or two on top of it. And at some point, you just realize that business owners, they do need branding transformation at some point in their business when they are ready. And I was able to put together a brand hero program that did that in the shortest time possible, in 3 weeks or less. I know ours stretched out a little bit more because we're trying to figure out the verbiage for the website, but the program itself is in 3 weeks. You will have your branding, your website, and a launch strategy done. So you're hitting the ground running. And whether you have a team that supports you or you do it by yourself, you are empowered in your own business to take it from there. And you never have to say, Olga, where is my this? Or Olga, where do I go to get this? Everything is there and give it to you. And that's it. We just say, all right, let's just get to the testimonial, and then we'll see what else the future holds for us. But other than that, there is not much back and forth once the project is complete.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other reasons it took so long for us is because I moved house. I was a finalist in the awards. I was doing a course at the same time. So I was like I really appreciate that we extended it, through that process as well. But you worked with my team as I was, dealing with that. You were working with Irene and Raya to support that process as well, which is another great, benefit of being able to connect through that platform that you've got. So what would you say to people that are in that? Like it took me, I was just thinking as you were talking, I've been in this business for about 2 years and we're in our 3rd year now. So it was 2 years before I felt like it was time and ready, and I was ready and that we were ready to do the branding.
Yeah.
What would you
that actually is a perfect timing. If you are in your 2 to 3 year way into getting into the business, at this point, you have tried everything. At this point, you know what your offer is. At this point, you know what your best seller is. At this point, you're really ready to build that foundation where you can just grow up from there. So you're done experimenting, you're done, learning things in the industry. So yes, I do find that if you start in the business, the earlier, the better, but sometimes when you do it too early, then you will have to down the road
play around with it.
Rebrand yourself, redesign things and what's not. But 2-3 years is a great gauge of like you ready to go.
Yeah. And because with Women of Light, as I was telling you, I did a survey and I found that there is a high percentage of women in here that own their own business. So if someone's in that process of, like wondering what the steps are and, you know, what is it, you know, how do I go about it? Or they're you know, wanting to transition. What are your sort of thoughts on what they should be asking, reflecting themselves?
Yeah, definitely. So like some of the questions you would ask yourself if you're ready, you would say like, okay, so I have been do it yourself mode for such a long time that I no longer focus on my business, but I'm focusing on doing design.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're like, oh my God, yes, I waste all this time instead of doing sales calls, instead of getting to know people, networking people. Here I am stuck doing my own website. It looks horrible. I don't send people to it. Like at some point where you know your brand does not represent you and you're actually afraid to send people to your website or anywhere, like really, I'm like, don't look at my LinkedIn banner. It hasn't been updated in 5,000 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, well, people still gonna look and people going to judge because we are natural as human beings. We're very visual. So when we see something, like we don't have even split second. We already made our decision of, am I gonna trust this? Am I gonna like it? Am I gonna reach out? It's that. Unfortunately, we live in that type of world where we do have to put our best face forward, and that's how you know it's time to rebrand and really take your branding seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just know for myself, my team actually would put together some images and then I'd have to approve them, right? So, you know, like, and I'd be saying, no, don't like that. No, I don't like that image. No, you know, like, and so it, you know, the time waster in all of that. Whereas now they love going in and playing around with the elements. And, you know, you know, I very rarely, I just go, yep. And I just add content to it and then off it goes. So it just is a time saver as well, right?
Yes, definitely. So at some point you'll have to recognize, are you a business owner or are you a brand strategist, a graphic designer, a web designer? And if you none of those titles, like you, what are you really doing? Like your attention, time and attention are actually the only two resources we have. And if you're wasting them on doing it yourself, or even having like you having a team, but they don't have a guidance of how to do it, now you just wasted not just your own time, but the time of your team. And you just paid for your own time and you paid for
their teams as well. Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
all of a sudden this flyer becomes this major headache when it could be done so much easier in like 2 seconds. Like really.
Yeah, and most probably doesn't get the draw, you know, the attention that you want anyway. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the other thing that I'd love to talk about, Olga, because when we got together and, you know, started talking about what is it that we're going to discuss, I know that you are part of a, you know, you volunteer for a website or a group that you were just telling me is worldwide. And I love the concept. Do you want to share with us what it's all about?
Definitely. So I volunteer for the project Creative Society. And a creative society is a format of society where human life is #1 priority. Can you imagine? Like if human life was #1 priority, we would not have wars, hunger, sex trafficking, poverty. Like we will not have any problems because everyone's human life would be like at the highest value. And right now, we all know that for the past 6,000 years, as the history book tells us, we have been living in the consumer society that is driven by profits and it's driven by money. And there's nothing wrong of making a profit or making the money, but if it comes at the cost of someone else's life, then we are failing as a humanity.
Absolutely.
And the perfect example, for example, like right now, we are like interviewing people for the upcoming conference that's going to be on May 7th. And we are talking to people who deal with human trafficking and all of that. And what they say is like, you know, women and little girls are so disposable. They're being sold multiple times. They don't even have any documents, no papers, and it's just happening. And that made me think like even animals would never sell their own children to do that. And if
Yeah.
we do,
Yeah.
and if we say it's okay and we close our eyes on it, who are we? Like, we are worse than animals at that point by doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what the project is all about. Is right now we are in 180 different countries. The conference will be translated simultaneously to 100 languages. So it is huge global movement to bring out the truth about what's really important and how do we get there in the most peaceful, in the most, I guess, legal way possible, where all of the sudden everyone around the globe is one big family that values human life. And we have 8 foundations or pillars of the creative society. And it was created because we have done survey around the globe for the past 10 years. And we asked 2 simple questions. We asked, what do you think unites all people all over the globe? And the second question we asked, what future or what type of society you would like to live in. And based on millions of answers we received from all types of people, all genders, all ages, all backgrounds, we were able to put together 8 foundations of how this creative society can be built. And the only reason it's called creative society is because creativity or creation is an opposite to destruction. And destruction is what we see happening, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah.
So that's a little summary.
Yeah.
I can go on and on because I'm very passionate about it, because that type of society benefits not just selfishly myself, my kids, and everybody I know, but every single person living on this planet.
Absolutely. And I loved seeing and hearing about it. So I'm going to go and check the website out and get involved with that.
So anyone can go, just Google Creative Society or go on creativesociety.com and you will see all the projects, all the conferences we had and everything. But it's really a global project. And what I like about it is personal responsibility. Everyone takes personal responsibility because we all volunteers. We do it in our free time. No one is getting paid and no one is pointing fingers and telling you what to do. You kind of on the inside, you have this gut feeling and you know that we can do it and we can only do it together. And in order for us to do it together, everybody needs to know about it because that's the only way it's fair for people to make the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I absolutely love it. And so poignant for the times at the moment, right? For us to all bring that awareness.
And we see a lot of separation, and separation happens in our head first. And I think it's just the time for us to recognize that there's nothing that separates us. We as human beings are one. Like really, what we decide our future to be, that's what it's going to be. But we can't do it in a violent way. We cannot have another war. We cannot have another conflict. We cannot afford to lose another life to make peace happen. It has to happen through people, just regular people having normal conversations of, hey, how do you want to live? Do you want free healthcare? Do you want to have education for everyone? Do you want drinking water? Like all the basics. Everything is so easy accomplished.
That everyone's got a right to, right? Like that's the thing, there's enough resources on the planet and it's our human right to be able to live with peace and love, and it's all in alignment with what I teach in my courses, right? And what I teach here, and bringing people up to be the light, to share their love and their unconditional love, non-judgment, and compassion and understanding, right? So all of the things that we all actually do have innately in us. It's just being trapped with baggage.
And
that's
where I feel like the most, I guess, problem we see in our society is that we are so used to putting responsibility on someone else and letting someone else make decisions for us. And then we just sit and complain about it because it was not, a good decision, what's not. But as you said, like, it's on us, it's inside of us. If we decide to ignite that inside of us, we are just unstoppable. Like, we are the light source, and the more lights there are in the world, the brighter future is, like, really is.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Olga. We were, head down, bum up with the branding. So it's the first time I've heard about the project. So it's lovely to be able to talk on a personal level as well. Olga, if I was going to finish with what's the best advice you've ever been given?
I think that the best advice, I won't say I was given, but I actually got it from the book, and the book is called Allatra. And in that book, when I was reading through it, I really realized that the thoughts that we all get are not ours, and that we have ability to choose. We do not have ability to control, but we have the ability to choose the thoughts and create our own reality, because the thoughts will be delivered to us at, I think it's like 60 thoughts per second or something like that. But the ones we pay attention actually become us. So I think that was the biggest aha moment in my life, thinking like all those negative thoughts were mine, and like, oh my God, how could I think about myself this and limiting myself? But then when you realize, like, no, those are not your thoughts. This is not you. You are not your thoughts. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, freedom. I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get used to that concept and kind of like roll with it. But once you really really start observing them and saying, like, this is what I want, this I don't want, I don't want to
make the choice, right? Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, not bad. I mean, I'm not saying I have perfected it.
No, but that's the whole thing. Is that realization that we get to choose to listen to it, or to change direction and do, whatever it is that we feel in our heart to do. So absolutely, I love it.
So thank you so much for asking.
No, it's so in alignment, and obviously why we resonated and connected, and as you know, our beautiful my beautiful friend Ella was the one that recommended you. So, and I can see why she did, because she knows like we were all in the same vibration. So it's been a pleasure working with you, and thank you so much for the interview. I don't know, what's the time over there in Detroit?
Right now, 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock.
Awesome. So it's not that bad, which is
no,
nice.
No, not that bad at all. And thanks so much for having me. And it's such a pleasure to know you and Ella. And I do see that the world is such a small place, and I'm so happy that all the people of good deed can connect and really become one and really build the future we all deserve. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
And so, Olga, if you don't mind, once we get off, I'm just going to get you to put all your details in the comments, if you can go back into Women of Light. And anyone that's watching on YouTube, we will put all the comments in as well, or all the links. So please hit the subscribe button so you can see what we're doing as we change the world together. So thank you so much, Olga, and take care, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you.